What's up, guys? Coach John Wojo here with JW Fitness answering another question for you. Maybe a stupid question. If you're heavy, 210 pounds, and out of shape, does body weight plyometric exercise count as heavy lifting until you gain a bit of muscle and endurance? So my fear is that this person doesn't understand the terminology that they're using, and they might be kind of conflating different ideas and confusing the different definitions of what they're thinking of. So if you're heavy and out of all right, so first and foremost, plyometrics is typically explosive movements. There are low intensity plyometrics, like maybe some light skipping. And then there are more intense, high intensity plyometrics like box jumps or depth jumps, and then jumping up to a box. And the purpose of plyometrics technically is to, let's say you're stepping off of a 12-inch box and you're landing. That moment when your feet hit the ground and then you're absorbing the impact and you're landing, you're actually going through an eccentric phase of muscle contraction, where even though your muscles are contracting to try and absorb the impact of the ground, your muscles are still lengthening, right? Like the moment you land, your muscles begin to contract, but then they're lengthening under tension as you sit a little bit deeper into a squat position. Okay? If you were to then rebound immediately out of that, not pause, you were to absorb the impact of the ground and as quickly as you can respond to that impact and jump and just do a standing, vertical jump. What's going to happen is you have that eccentric phase, and then the time it takes for you to switch gears to an explosive concentric phase, that time it takes is called the amortization phase. And the purpose of plyometrics is to teach your body to develop the skill to decrease the amortization phase of that muscle contraction, to then become more explosive, to become more responsive, to become more reactive in athletics, right? To stop and turn really fast, to change direction really fast, to just generally become more explosive with every step, with every bound, right? Whether you're sprinting or changing direction like a running back, or you're throwing a shot put, right? It's to, boom, be able to take a step and turn it around. That's what plyometrics are for. And typically, especially higher intensity plyometrics are only really prescribed to those who have met a certain minimum standard in their strength. Because otherwise, it's really not going to be of any benefit to you if you don't have a certain base level of physical strength. So, to answer this person's question, it's the strength training that comes first, and plyometrics is added later. You were asking does it make sense to do plyometric exercises first as heavy lifting, which I don't know what you're asking, treating it as if it were heavy lifting until you gain a bit of muscle. So plyometrics is not for gaining muscle. Plyometrics is for decreasing the amortization phase of muscle contraction, or otherwise just generally known as becoming more explosive, right? that comes after you've developed a certain level of strength in the gym. And as somebody who's heavy and 210 pounds and lacks strength, then throwing yourself into plyometrics, like any type of dynamic movement like that, is probably a recipe for injury. So no, I wouldn't be doing plyometrics, because plyometrics doesn't seem to have any benefit to what your goals are. You would be putting yourself at a high risk of injury. It is not a substitute for heavy lifting, and it has nothing to do with building muscle, bigger muscles, or gaining strength for that matter. What you need to do is pay attention to your nutrition and engage in a just well-designed general strength / hypertrophy routine, otherwise known as like a bodybuilding routine, or just a general strength routine, depending on your existing level of experience and knowledge of, weights in the weight room and how to train. And that's where I would start. I would start with the weights. I would start with trying to build bigger muscles. I would start with trying to build stronger muscles and a stronger body. And then over time, once you've demonstrated a certain level of strength in the weight room, and I forget what the common thresholds are at this point, being able to squat 1.5 times your body weight, or being able to squat X percentage of your body weight 5 times within X amount of seconds, or whatever it is these days. There are certain standards that a lot of coaches would like to see you be able to demonstrate before they begin to include plyometrics into your program. But if your goal is to just get into general better strength and lose body fat, plyometrics, you're sniffing up the wrong tree. Don't worry about that. Worry about your nutrition. Follow a good old school bodybuilding routine or general strength routine, 5x5, then with enough assistance exercises to build some muscle. Make sure it's full body and be consistent. And that's where you want to focus on. Don't worry about the plyos. That's my opinion for you guys. If you appreciate the content, like and subscribe, and I'll talk to you soon.